Welcome back to Aldo Scribanti here in Quebec for round 3 of the National Championship Extreme Festival. Heading into the next part of the day's proceedings, the action is going to come from the Global Touring Cars and GTC SupaCup. A debut for a brand new car at this round, BMW 128 Ti, and a welcome return for Julian van der Walt. What are his chances of being in the top 3 by the time that car finishes up this weekend? Great to see all of our usual contenders are there, including the return of Paul Luthi and Sawat Variawa, the championship leader.
I really like this track. We came here with decent pace. We're not quite where we should be at the moment, but hopefully we'll sort that out soon. But yeah, I hope to bring the pace that we had in the first 3 rounds here and try and increase our gap in the championship, so to say. But yeah, really looking forward to it.
So far so good. Pole position going to Sawat Variawa for Global Touring Cars, and the GTC SupaCup went to Keegan Campos. The Dunlop Award, giving them some extra time there to play with. Now as they get ready to go, Sawat Variawa in that Corolla hatch is going to have his work cut out for him, because he's got his arch rival in the championship and his 2 teammates hunting him down right from the word go. Andrew Rackstraw will be looking to turn things around and possibly put that Lee Thompson Racing Golf at the front end. And in the SupaCup, will Liebenberg find a way to catch Keegan Campos' pace? This is how they qualified. Variawa and Volk on the front row, Van der Walt and Van Rooyen side by side, then Rackstraw and LaRue, and at the back, Natim Samanga in the Corolla. They're ready to go as GTC SupaCup lineup with Keegan Campos and Liebenberg side by side, Machotzi and Neveling, then Tate Bishop, JP Van der Walt, Cara Hill just ahead there of the hard-charging Paul Luthi. We go on board with Michael Van Rooyen as we kick things off for the Global Touring Cars, and down towards turn 1 they go. A good start coming out of Rackstraw. He's outgunned the Rustenburg Rocket. Lights about to go out now for the SupaCup category, and it's going to be Keegan Campos to lead them down towards turn 1. And they sort things out here in that mid-pack, but at the back end, LaRue seems to be losing ground there ever so slightly. Side by side between Campos and Liebenberg into turn 1. On the inside comes Machotzi looking to try and squeeze out on Neveling. Neveling's going to be around the outside into the S's and might have to just... No, he doesn't. I thought he was going to give way there, but no, the Goskor car hangs in there and just forces Machotzi into a defensive bit of driving. He goes defensive on a hard charge coming out of JP Van der Walt, and looks like Tate Bishop in there as well. Back on board with Van Rooyen as they head up towards the hairpin. That used to be known as Toyota hairpin, in fact, as that Gazoo racing machine tries to find a way through on the BMW. Julian van der Walt has had a fantastic start there, no doubt about it. Here comes Tate Bishop. Bishop on the inside of JP. Has he been able to make it stick? No, JP Van der Walt keeps him honest. Once again, back to Michael Van Rooyen. Battling hard here with Van der Walt, trying to find a way through. This is the Gazoo Racing Corolla hatch, and he's on the back end of that 128 Ti. The Toyota Corolla itself. In second place is Robert Volk, trying to close down on Van Rooyen's teammate Sawat Variawa, who hangs on to the front end for now. Josh LaRue in the Audi comes through there for about 6th place, and then it's Natim Samanga, the third of those Gazoo Racing Corollas at the back end. He's in the sedan, not in the hatch. 2 hatch cars there, of course, are piloted by Michael Van Rooyen, the man in picture, and his teammate leading things out, championship leader Sawat Variawa. They head out of hangar, heading up towards the hairpin, and Variawa goes, holds his line. He doesn't have to go defensive. Looks like Volk just doesn't have the pace there to try and outgun him into the hairpin. Van Rooyen is trying to close in on the back end. You can see just how hard the Rustenburg Rocket is working here in his cockpit. And he looks very smooth, cool, calm and collected here from Van Rooyen as he tries to find a way on the return of Julian van der Walt. I mentioned earlier in the show, remember Van der Walt had that massive crash at Kyle Army at the opening round, destroying the Ford he was in. They've now built him a BMW, and it seems to be working really well. Natim Samanga hasn't found the same kind of pace he had earlier on. And the reason being, you can see there's a bit of battle scars there. Has he come together with the Audi? I think he might have. Both Josh LaRue and Natim Samanga, I think, might have had a bit of battle scars. The front end of that Toyota Corolla looks a little bit worse for wear, and I think the back end of the Audi might have some evidence to just prove me right as they head up towards Dunlop Corner. Heading down to turn 1, Global Touring Cars catching the GTC SupaCup now. Cara Hill giving way there to Sawat Variawa. Robert Volk hasn't quite got there yet. Paul Luthi will be the next man in question. And we asked him why he comes to race in South Africa.
The main thing is I've got some really good friends here, and this is a good way to get to come and see them, like a boys, a lads weekend, you know, so it's good fun. But on a serious note, the other thing is the cost. For a club level series in the UK, the entry fee is double, just for the, you know. Then you've got testing, which is the same as the entry fee, whereas it's included in the price of this. My travelling down south in the truck is the equivalent of the plane ticket to get here. Then the travelling time in the UK is between 10 and 15 hours in a truck. Well, it's between 14 and 19 hours in a plane. Either way, you're giving up one day to travel there and back. And then the sort of final thing is on the way home in a truck, we would leave at the end of the race meeting, you're very tired, and then you've got that long drive, whereas I can sit in a plane and sleep.
And how is it in South Africa, competitive-wise?
It's opened up my eyes. I thought I was going to be further up than I am. I genuinely thought that, but nah, I've been put in my place, firmly in my place.
Awesome stuff. Paul Whitty, a top runner in his club, and of course in the provincial and national side of the UK's racing. And now, as you heard, being put in his place by our top national competitors. And this is the reason why Global Touring Cars and GTC is now mixing it up properly, as the GTC SupaCup is being eaten up here by the front end of Global Touring Cars. Michael van Rooyen looking for a way through. He has to find a way through there on the back end of Van der Vaart in the BMW, because he's got huge pressure coming from that Lee Thompson Racing Golf right on his tail. And I tell you something, Rackstraw is looking to turn his luck around. Remember, didn't quite go according to plan at the last round. So both Rackstraw and LaRue were looking for a much better outing. Hasn't quite worked out for LaRue, but certainly Rackstraw on song here, and possibly looking even for a podium still. That's the front end of the GTC SupaCup heading into turn one, and it's still the Veloce machine of Campos who leads out ahead of Brad Liebenberg, the Hyper Energy car, and then the Gosco car of Neveling. Arnie Neveling hasn't been able to catch Liebenberg, and the same thing can be said there for those first four cars in the SupaCup category. Equidistant apart, and no answer to the front man. He has really got a good turn of pace around this circuit, though, as Keegan Campos, and has shown in the past, not only in single-seaters, but in Polo Cup, that he is a tough man to beat at this track. And yet again, it looks like that's going to be what's going to happen here in the GTC SuperCup. Keegan Campos beating out Liebenberg for now. What is Brad going to do there down at Nathan's Motorsport to try and change that up, maybe for the next heat? A Gosco and Neveling machine behind that. And then you can see them all starting to be ticked off. We come into the closing stages. The flag is on standby. Robert Volk has not found a way through Jan Sauer Variawa. Sauer Variawa going to take another victory and extend his lead in this championship. But Volk in second is exactly where he needs to be if he can't be in first. No doubt about that, championship is going to go down to the wire. And how is this? Julian van der Vaart, what a story here. Massive crash. Didn't look like he would even be able to walk again. And he's back in a race car in a brand new machine and puts it onto the podium in third place there for the WCT and Chemical Logistics team. So Sauer Variawa takes the win, and Campos comes through for the win as well, hanging on to beat out Liebenberg. Variawa from Volk and Van der Vaart, Van Rooyen and Rackstraw, your top five in GTC, and in the SuperCup class, it was Campos, Liebenberg, Machotzi, Neveling, and Tate Bishop.
We had a good start, and I put a few good laps in the start of the race, got a good gap, and just maintained the pace till the end of the race, also getting fastest lap, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we had good pace to start the race, but just couldn't convert it. Obviously tough to pass around the circuit. So, yeah, I think first couple laps were good. A lot of understeer as we progressed, but yeah, overall didn't find the balance. Reverse grid in the next one. So, yeah, we'll be fine-tuning the car and look forward to it. Hopefully we can make something happen.
A good race. Not happy with fourth though, but I think the pace is there at least, which we've been lacking this weekend. And hopefully I can be on the better end of the close race in race 2.
In GTC SuperCup, Brad Liebenberg was second.
Yeah, look, I think that was the most we could do. Keegs had quite a lot of pace. His car just seems to be working a little bit better around the track. So, yeah, he drove very well, limited his mistakes. You know, the wind also changes direction every lap, so it's a bit difficult to judge. You know, you go into one lap and you overshoot it, and the next lap you brake at the same point and you undershoot the turn. So, yeah, the wind plays a factor, but you know, second place, I'm happy with it. Of course, I want to win, but like I say, I think that was the most we could do there, and yeah, hopefully we can get the car right for race 2 and see what if we can challenge him there at the front.
SuperCup race winner, Keegan Campos.
I mean, the team gave me a solid car. I honestly was expecting a lot more out of Brad. Like, you know, everyone knows Brad can drive a front-wheel drive race car. So the race went well from my point of view. I saw Brad like in my mirrors consistently, but then as the race progressed, I'd say from lap 4, lap 5, I just started eking out that gap. I presumed he was saving push-to passes, but at the end I also saved a few, and I seem to have opened that lead even more.
No biased supporters on the sideline, as you can see there. Great to see the support, though, coming out of the Gazoo Racing stable with a whole bunch of 86s in the mix there, and getting to see their race cars on track as well. They're about to see them once again as we get into race 2 here of the Global Touring Cars and GTC SuperCup. We're on board with Natium Samanga, looking to try and come through this field and see what he can do from the back of the pack. Not too far behind and a lot closer this time for the GTC Super Cup. As the lights go out, we're on board with Michael Van Rooyen. We change the onboard shot as Van Rooyen tries to go with Leroux into turn 1. Josh Leroux just hanging on to that whole shot. And you can see Rackstraw trying to just fend that position off from the hard charge from the Rustenburg Rocket. He dives into second place. Michael Van Rooyen looking to go to first as he comes into the inside line. Oh, he gets a little tap from behind. Gets a bit sideways there, and Leroux, well, he also had a little bit of a slide. It's given Michael Van Rooyen a chance here. He goes side by side, he gets onto the grass. Oh, thrown it all the way there with a small mistake coming out of that very fast left-hander, the second part of the S's, and Van Rooyen now drops to the back of the pack. Look at this hard dive on the inside coming out of Rackstraw. That might end up in tears. They're going to get side by side and almost touch. Rackstraw and Leroux very close. The Audi versus the GDI as they go down towards Chevy. We're on board with Volk. He's looking straight back into Variawa's point of view as Saud Variawa tries to hang on to that 4th place. He's got the BMW tucked in behind him there, Van der Vat, as they head up towards Dunlop for the first time. Julian Van der Vat. Ooh. Oh, there's a lot of debris. That's why it's from. The debris come from the touch there between Rackstraw and Leroux. They've gone into Dunlop corner and tagged each other. Leroux's on the sideline. The back right to that car is absolutely broken. So big moment there between the two Volkswagen brands. Volkswagen and Audi coming together there. That's opened up an opportunity now for Volk to lead things out over Variawa. Round the outside, trying to make up ground there rapidly as Michael Van Rooyen. He made up one position on Natium Samanga, his teammate, in the latter part of that race after the tag between the top 2 into turn number 8. Now this is tough stuff. Look at this, Michael Van Rooyen trying to make up the ground now and see whether he can get onto the back end of Variawa. The two Corolla hatches now fighting hard with the normal Corolla out front there from WCT and Chemical Logistics of Robert Volk. So it's Corolla hatch, BMW and the Corolla at the back. What a magnificent dice here between our GTC top contenders. Robert Volk once again looking straight back into the eyes of Saud Variawa. He wants through and he needs to get another victory here. He wants to try and extend his lead in the championship even more after that race 1 win. Back to GTC Super Cup, and positions remain the same there pretty much. It's Campos from Liebenberg. Is that the Gosco car there of Neveling? No, it's not. It's Machotzi. Machotzi has got through on Neveling earlier on. And even though he beats him right in the last lap of race 1, Machotzi this time getting the job done earlier, moving himself up into 3rd place. Behind that, Neveling followed very closely, as you can see there. Looks like by Tate Bishop coming out of the final corner. Dunlop, yes. Then JP van der Walt pulling away ever so slightly there from Paul Luthi and Donnie van Niekerk. The two Titan stuntmen having a fantastic dice there. One from Scotland, one from Cape Town, and a good mates, as you heard there in the previous interview from Paul. Back on board with Michael Van Rooyen. Oh, that sunset corner of note through Chevy Sweep at this time of the day makes it very difficult for the drivers to see. Try and find that line, and then of course you come up and Dunlop and you get it again. So there's 4 or 5 times around the circuit that the sun becomes a huge factor. Well, look at that. Unbelievably, they've got the Audi back on track. Leroux went into the pit lane, they fixed the car up, and he's got 2 laps of racing still to go, but he's come back out to try and score as many points as possible. And he slots in at the back end of the GTC formation train at the front, just behind the BMW of Van der Vat. So Leroux now, even though he's got a lot of ground to make up, there may still be enough for him to score enough points and enough laps here to be classified. And by being classified, that means he will definitely get the points. So not a bad effort there from the team to get him back on track and get that Audi back up and running. This is what it looks like under brakes now from the Toyota Corolla's point of view there of Robert Volk, our race leader, coming up in amongst the GTC Super Cup competitors. He's got a couple of them ticked off, but there's a couple more that'll be in his way before that checkered flag comes out. The lights are on that front car. It means that the cars ahead of him are going to be watching out for those lights ablaze. And Luthi will definitely be looking once again to see the leaders coming through. So the Campbell shortbread man all the way from Scotland, about to be caught again by the top competitors in global touring cars. His teammate is just up the road there. He, of course, also part of the Titan Stunts team. Got Car Care Clinic as one of his sponsors as well, as Volk comes flying down the main straightaway. Will he get through there on Luthi by the time they get under brakes for turn 1? Look for that global touring car Super Cup car on the inside. No, it's not there yet. He wasn't able to get through, but look at the team battle on here. Corolla's on full flight at the front end here of GTC's. And it's a Corolla hatch looking for a way through there on the Corolla sedan. Volk is having none of it. He is placing that car perfectly. He knows how difficult it is. He mentioned it in his interview, how difficult it is to pass here. And if he can just place the car perfectly, there's no way through for Saud. Saud Variawa has a look. Oh, he was late on the brakes. In fact, he got a bit squirrely there in that Corolla hatch as they came out of the final hairpin and the final run yard of the hairpin. A couple of GTC Super Cup cars in the way there, maybe. Is Donnie van Niekerk going to be a factor in this one? We'll wait and see as they head towards Dunlop for the last time. I think Van Niekerk might just stay out of harm's way, so we're going to give him a bit of room on the inside. Volk takes that inside line. Variawa, we're going to try and cut back and drag to the line. Come out there. Look at how close Variawa is coming out of that final corner. He's trying everything he can to get through. And they come to the line. It is Robert Volk with the win. Variawa in second, and Van Rooyen takes third place. He'll be happy with one step higher on the podium, that's for sure. But not quite there. The battle at the front was so epic. It's just kind of stayed the same here in the SupaCup class. You can see Campos staying just ahead of Brad Limburg, who had a slightly closer margin than the first heat. But look at that, equidistant between those first 5 cars in the SupaCup category. It's going to be Campos for the win here. Limburg in second place. Is Arnie Neville going to try and get through there and maybe spoil the day for Machotsi? I think he might try it. Machotsi did it to him on the last lap in race 1. Can he do the same here in race 2? No, I think the gap might just be a little bit too much. They head up towards Dunlop for the final time. And the Dunlop's in full flight here into the closing stages of this incredible round of GTC SupaCup. Campos is going to take a double victory. That is going to give him a huge, huge confidence heading into another circuit that he provides great racing at and always has good competition. East London is your next round of this championship as we wrap things up here for SupaCup across the line. GTC's 1 to 5 is Volk, Variawa, Van Rooyen, Van der Vat and Msimanga. Campos taking the SupaCup ahead of Limburg, Machotsi, Neveling and Tate Bishop. The winning GTCs is the maiden victory for this year for Robert Volk. Let's catch up with him.
Coming from the back and obviously taking a win in the reverse grid is always satisfying. We had decent pace to start with, just managed to obviously consolidate, get into the lead and hang on. I don't think our balance was completely perfect, but yeah, the team's done a great job this weekend to keep us on the front end, so obviously when we got to the front we managed to convert that. So we'll march on to the next round. We've always been strong East London and looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, this weekend has not been the weekend. Starting from Thursday to Friday to race day, things did not go away. And the team worked extremely hard to make sure the car was ready for me, but just things did not go to plan. But I just want to say a big thank you to Toyota because they put in the hours day in and day out, especially on Friday night, getting the car ready. And yeah, I guess it's racing, the ups and downs. I try my best, and all I know is that the next race at East London, I'm going to come with a fire and I'm going to do what I know I can do.
So Keegs, you had a lucky win there. Let's talk it through.
Come on, mate. A lucky win. I dominated. Okay, go reset.
Yeah, Keegs, good day at the office. Couldn't catch you. How was it?
It's a bit weird that you're interviewing me, but you kept me honest most race. I saw you closing down on me, and then obviously just being able to manage the pace after I made that initial jump, and then you and I just stayed there the whole race. Finally, my full house back at you, boy.
Yeah, I think you extended the lead a little bit there, but yeah, it just seemed like you took a 10th, I took a 10th, you took a 10th, I took a 10th, and yeah, it was like a yo-yo the whole race.
A little bit of dancing, boy, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
we enjoy
100%.
that. Yeah, let's see what happens down in East London. I know Bradley goes well there, but my brother's beaten me, and I'm definitely quicker than my brother.
Championship looks like this, with Saad Variawa at the top end of the GTCs, beating out Robert Volk and Natim Samanga. You heard from him, he's coming with a fire. And Campos maintains his lead in the GTC SupaCup. Heading to East London on the 22nd of July. We'll be there with all the action from the Extreme Festival. All this National Extreme Festival action is proudly brought to you by Comcare Medical Scheme, Dunlop Tyres, Ferodo, the #1 in brakes, and Investchem.